Hello, Year 5. Right, we are going to combine two lessons today, lesson 3 and 4. Now, don't worry if you don't get through all of it, but when I had a look at it, I thought actually probably quite a lot of you will be able to get through quite a lot of both of them. And obviously the lesson 4 follows on nicely from lesson 3. So I'll talk you through it and you can obviously see how much you can get done. I want to start you off with showing you a couple of shapes. I've got this one here that's on my flip chart. And then I've got this one here. Now this isn't actually a shape, although it is a shape, it's a trapezium, isn't it? But this is two shapes here. I've got this one here and I've got this one here, okay? Two more trapeziums, in fact. And I want you just to think about how that might lead into what we're doing today. Giving you a bit of a clue as to how you might work out today's lesson. What happened to those two shapes when I folded down that line? Okay, so let's have a look today at what we're doing. So here's your in focus for today, lesson 3. This is the first one we're going to look at. So it's given you some pictures, 3 pictures here, 3 grids, and it says try to fold each square sheet. So this is a square sheet, okay, here. This is a square sheet, and this is another one. So that one of these little pictures fits exactly on top of the other, okay? So there's your clue. It's on exactly on top of the other. Right, now I have included on Tapestry these 3 pictures here. So you can actually print them off and cut them out and have a go at physically folding them. So once again, apologies that I didn't put them into your pack. I'm hoping that everybody's going to be able to do it. If you can't print it off, you could actually probably put a piece of paper over the top of your textbook, and you should, I think, just about be able to see through to draw over the top of it. Okay, so have a go at doing that. And I think it's Amira, isn't it? Says, is this one possible? This one here. So she's asking about this one in particular. Go away, have a go, and come back when you're ready. Right, so we are thinking about a maths technique called reflection today. We've thought about looking for coordinates, so finding coordinates on a grid. And we know that to find coordinates, we go along the X and up the Y. We know that coordinates sit within brackets. So I would have, to have a coordinate, I would have bracket, and then a number 8, then a comma, 7, and then a closing bracket. So that's really important because lots of you, or a few of you on Tapestry, are forgetting to put your coordinates into brackets. So don't forget when you are writing coordinates, that's really, really important. Yesterday we had a look at translation. So translation is when we have a shape and we simply slide it. Now, what do we know about translation? We know that the shape doesn't change. The shape stays exactly the same and it just shifts. It slides across our coordinates grid, up, across, down. We usually think as well, and somebody yesterday was really good at this, writing an explanation to say that somebody had got it wrong because they hadn't done the X first. So we have to remember we go along the X, and then we can go Y. We go up or down. So we go across first and then up or down. Keep that consistency, that's really important. So today we're having a think about reflection. And I started you off by showing you this and this, because we're thinking about how one shape is reflected to make another shape. And if I were to fold along this line here, my line of symmetry here, I know that actually this point here would meet, where would it meet? So if you can think, yeah, hopefully you're saying this one here, this point here would meet with this point here, okay? And then these lines would sit on top of one another. And that's what we've got to really think about today when we're thinking about reflection. So let's have a little look through. Now, some terminology, some words that are really important. This line here, this dotted line here, can be called your folding line because it's the point where you fold your shape, or fold the grid rather, for your two shapes to meet. Or it could also be referred to as the mirror line because that's where we would place our mirror, okay? So I'm going to do a little bit of work with you. Well, I will have already done it. I'm going to do some work with you using a mirror in our Zoom lesson just to demonstrate to you how I would use a mirror along the mirror line, okay? So it says fold along because that's what you were asked to do in your in focus, but some of you might not have needed to do that. You might have been able to see it. The great thing about shape is that often people can just visualize it and they don't need to do the extra folding, but please don't be afraid to actually pick your work up and fold it or turn it around and try and see it from different angles. Okay, that's really important. So it says fold along this line here. The yellow figure, this one, fits exactly on the orange figure. So just like I've done here, I've done it slightly differently with different shapes, but it doesn't really matter which way I hold it, to be honest. But when I fold along my folding line, if this were my yellow shape and this were my orange shape, can you see as I come closer, you can see that they are going to sit on top of one another. I don't know if you can quite see through, but there's my shape at the end there, and I've got it on both sides there. Okay, they sit on top of each other. We can also reflect the yellow figure in the mirror to the orange figure, its image. So we can do it either way, okay? I can either put my mirror on so that I can see the yellow figure where the orange figure should be, or vice versa. And I'm going to talk you through that properly on Zoom because I think that's easier to do it that way. So when we do this, that's called a reflection, just like when we're looking at a reflection in the mirror, okay? So that first one there, we can see, let's pop it on there. Now, I tried to do this the other day and I couldn't seem to get a dotted line, so I am going to just do it with a normal line, but oh, here we go. See if I can get that one to work. Okay, so my folding line goes there. Now, before we move on to the next shape, I wonder if you can tell me, it's a little bit tilted, isn't it? Let's try and straighten that up. Oh gosh, didn't want to do that. Okay, let's undo that. I wonder if you can tell me about the spacing. So have a little look. Here's my folding line and my mirror line. What can you tell me about the spacing of this shape and of this shape? You might not know what I mean. Hopefully it'll become clear in a moment. Have a good look and see what you think. Excuse me. Okay, well, what I mean is, if I am always working from my folding line or my mirror line, in fact, I'm just going to call it the mirror line from now on, okay? So if I'm working from my mirror line, I need to see how many spaces away my shape is. So I'm just going to jump back onto my other one because I think it's a bit easier because I've actually labelled it. Okay, this is the same as your in focus. So if I were saying, right, how far away is B from my mirror line? I'm going to start in line with B at my mirror line, and I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. So to find vertex B, I start at the mirror line and I go left 4. So what do you think I need to do to find the vertex that is opposite to that, that is the reflection of B? So if we call this B1, I wonder if you can tell me where you think B2 is going to be. Hopefully you can see, here it is. Look, if I go from the same point on my mirror line, I went 4 left to get to B1. To plot B2, I would have had to have gone 4 to the right, like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is where I've got B2. Rather large, but that's okay. Right, okay. Now if I wanted to see where I would plot A, well, I can either go from the mirror line or I can go from one of my other vertices. I know that B is here, So rather than going all the way back to the beginning, to the mirror line, I actually can go from B and say, where is A in comparison to B? Where would I find A if I know where B is? Well, if I start at B, which is here, I am going away from the mirror line. That's really important. Away from the mirror line. Every time, that's what I'm thinking is, am I going away or towards? This time I'm going away, look, so I'm going in that direction. So I'm going from B and I go 1, 2 away from the mirror line. So in order to plot A2, I'm going to start on B2, like I did with B1 to get to A1. Okay, if I want to get A2, I start on B2 and I go 2 away. And that's really important, okay? So I'm going away, so that is going to be A2. Right, okay. So you can do exactly the same with all of your other vertices that you need to plot. For C, look, I start on the mirror line, in line with it, and I'm going to jump 1, 2 away from the mirror line. So I do the same on the other side, right? Hopefully you're starting to understand that. Let's have a look at the next one quickly then. Okay, so this time this is nothing different. I haven't changed anything apart from the angle of my piece of paper. Okay, so this time I don't have a vertical mirror line, I have a horizontal mirror line, but nothing else changes. I'm still going to think about whether I'm going away or towards. So if this were point A, I'm going to say I start on the mirror line in line with it, and I'm going to say how many away from the mirror line. 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I do exactly the same on the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that's my point A on this shape. So A2. Okay, right. So that's what you're going to be doing today. You need to decide where the mirror line goes. So what I'm going to draw your attention to here is, I said to you, think about the spacing. Now, there were 4 spaces between, 4 units between this shape and this shape. Let's count them together. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, this is where your number maths comes in, because if I need to put it halfway between, I need to then find halfway between 0 and 4. Half of 4 is 2, and if I look at that here, I can see I've got 1, 2 units between the mirror line and my shape. Let's do the same with this one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Halfway between 0 and 8 is 4. So my mirror line needs to go in when there are 4 on either side. So let's quickly get my mirror line. Doesn't want to play ball. Okay, so I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going along this line here. Oh dear, it hasn't quite worked, but let's see if we can move it. There we go. Okay, it's not very clear on here, I'm aware, but it hopefully, well, that's not very good. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's move it down a bit. Okay. Sorry, it's not working very well on here, but hopefully you can see it better on your own sheet. And you can see that the gap between this shape and the mirror line is exactly the same as the gap between this shape and the mirror line. I've got 4 on this side and 4 on this side. So that's what you need to think about when you are thinking about where the mirror line is going to go on your shapes in your guided practice. Okay, so draw the mirror line which reflects one figure to the other. You're just putting, where would that mirror line be so that I would have be able to reflect them just like these. Okay, the distance between them is the same. Right, then you've got a second page on your guided practice. So this is where you've really got to think about. This is your mirror line. How many away from your mirror line? Do the same on the other side. You can either, remember to plot this one, you can either go from here and go how many along and how many down, how many along, how many down, or go back to your mirror line and count how many away from your mirror line. There's 2 ways of doing it. Same here, it's just a horizontal line, nothing different. All right, and then your worksheet, draw a line so that one figure reflects over the other. So you're just doing a bit more practice. These are the simpler ones. Then they get a little bit trickier, hopefully not too much trickier. And then your final picture, your final one, it's actually asking you to do it twice. So it says reflect each shape in the 2 dotted lines. What it means is start off, forget. So imagine that line isn't there to start off with. Reflect it in the vertical line. So forget that line and just do what you would normally do to reflect in the vertical line so that your shape goes over here. And then forget that one and forget this line here and have a go at doing it on the horizontal line. So it's basically combining where you have done your horizontal and your vertical lines, all right? And the same for here. So that's all there is for lesson 3, which is why I thought we could probably skip on. Quite a lot of you might be able to cope with having a go at lesson 4 as well. So I am going to whiz on. If you get to that point and you've had enough and you can't do any more, that's okay, all right? It really doesn't matter because these are designed to be for one lesson. I just felt that some of you could have a go. So try and challenge yourself, obviously, but if you've got to that point and you've had enough, stop there, okay? So let's have a look at lesson 4 together then. So basically, lesson 4 is asking you to follow on from this here. This is where we reflected and then we reflected a second time. And it follows on from that. So it says the triangle here is reflected in each of the dotted mirror lines. Show the position of the triangle after each reflection, okay? So we're going to do it across and we're going to think about down. So we're going across the vertical line and we're going down the horizontal line. So just a bit more practice on that, okay? Go away, have a go at that, come back when you're ready. Okay, so this one here, it shows you how he's almost picked up the shape and flipped it over, okay? So the image doesn't stay the same, does it? Unlike translation, where the image will stay exactly the same, okay? If I've got this shape here, all I'm doing is I'm moving it, okay? I'm not changing it in any way, I'm just moving it. Whereas in reflection, I am going to see a new shape because it's reflected over. I'm really sorry, I know that's not very clear. Let me turn it that way, okay? So my shape has flipped over. So it's not the same. It doesn't look exactly the same, does it? So that's really important in reflection. So this is what yours should look like when you reflected it in the horizontal axis, in the horizontal line, sorry, it should look like this. And when you reflected it in the vertical line, it should look like this, okay? And we've put on there the coordinates because we've actually got a coordinate grid this time, okay? So show the position. Hopefully you've had a go at showing the position using your coordinates. Actually write the coordinates on for me. So if you haven't done that, can you do that now? Write the coordinates of the shape when it's reflected in the vertical and the horizontal line. Okay, so it should be, I'm going to let you, in fact, go away and make sure you've done that and then come back when you're ready. Okay, let's have a quick look at it then. So if I reflect it in the horizontal line, look carefully, I've got one space, one unit between my mirror line and this vertex here. So I've got to do the same here. Okay, so I've got the gap is the same, and it's the same at this one because they're parallel lines. Look, you can see that those are parallel to one another. So let's have a quick look to see what our new coordinates would be, our vertices are. If I label them, I'm going to label A, B, and C. Put that one there. Right, okay, so A is, I'm going along the horizontal, I'm going along the X first. So A is 10, and then I go up and I'm going to go across to make sure that I've got it right. There, look, 3. Okay, so 10, 3. So A is now, brackets, 10, comma 3. Okay, and I could do the same with all the others. B is 7, 3. And I know that it's going to be 3 because it's following on the horizontal line. So it's going to be the same as A, that second one. And then C is 7. And then look, can you see where it's hitting? Has it gone up at all? Has it gone any units away from the X? It hasn't. So actually that one would be 7, 0. Because it's on that line. Okay, right, let's whiz on then, because I know some of you are ready to go. So reflect triangle ASK in each dotted line and write the coordinates of the vertices of the triangle after reflection. So you're going across the vertical, then you're going across the horizontal, and now you're thinking about the coordinates. So we're combining what we know already, we're taking that step further and saying, I'm going to reflect it, then I'm going to say what the coordinates are, because you've now got it on a coordinates grid. So 2 things that you've got to think about today. And then you've got show the position of the quadrilateral. What's a quadrilateral? A quadrilateral is a 4-sided shape. Good. Best means B-E-S-T, for those of you who are wondering what's going on, just like the A-S-K, look, A-S-K. So it's the vertices it's labelled. Show the position of the quadrilateral best after it is reflected in the dotted line. So here's our dotted line, it's a horizontal line. What would they be? So you're just having another go at that. Does the shape change after reflection? So think really carefully about actually, is the shape different? Is the position different? Try and answer that one really carefully for me. Right, and then your workbook is more of the same when you're thinking about reflecting into the vertical and the horizontal lines, and then writing the coordinates. Okay, then maths teasers group, and I would think it would only be maths teasers group if you do have time. You may not, this might have taken you your time, but if you do have time, I have put some maths teasers questions for position and movement onto Tapestry for you to have a go at. Right, go for it, guys. Hope it's a really good lesson. Not long till we're back in school.